Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's case gives us parents who've lost custody of their children, but are still trying to micromanage them from the sidelines. They're in court embarrassing themselves, challenging a carefully planned trip arranged by the children's grandparents, who've stepped up as the temporary guardians. With nothing more than unsubstantiated concerns and bizarre accusations, this hearing shows us what happens when parenting takes a back seat to Audacity.
All right. Calling cause number CV2315203. I believe we have the intervenor's motion for travel. And let me see, Mr. Agbaidi, good morning, sir. Do you expect your clients to be present?
I gave them can you hear me, Yana? I'm not sure.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my alarm was going off.
Okay. I gave them I gave them the meeting ID. They did tell me yesterday that they were going to participate, but we can proceed with the argument whether or not they're here.
Okay. All right. So I will keep my eye out on the waiting room. If they happen to appear, I'll bring them right in. So, in fact, there is Ms. Gadsden, or at least her device, Precious Gadsden. We'll see if they're both on. Mr. Gadsden may be at work. All right. Ms. Gadsden, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. I have you marked present. And what about Mr. Gadsden?
Yes, he's present also. He's trying to log in.
Okay, maybe he's on Samsung. There he is. All right, very good. So we have Mr. Gadsden present as well. And Mr. Kayla, good morning. Is your client present?
I think she's trying to log in, Your Honor. She's working on trying to log in, so she will appear virtually.
Okay, all right, very good. So I believe this is your motion, Mr. Kayla. So I'll let you present your motion. We'll see if it's agreed or contested, and then if we need to swear any witnesses in, we'll do that as they are called.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Jones had planned many months ago, and I think had relayed this information to all of the parties. But her plans are to take the children on a cruise in the Caribbean over the or leaving January the 5th and returning on January the 11th. And their ports of call are Belize, Costa Maya, and Cozumel, Mexico. And this is an incredible opportunity for these children. And we're asking that the children be allowed to take this cruise with Miss Jones and have a good little break. That's what we're asking for, and I don't understand why we're having to have this hearing today. Why there's opposition to this?
Well, let's see if there in fact is. Mr. Agbaidi, do the parents agree or oppose this motion?
They do oppose the motion.
All right. And Ms. Bytewood, Ms. Hollier, and Mr. Crocker, I know that he's in maybe one of those ports of call that Mr. Kayla mentioned.
Your Honor, as far as my client, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for her to get a little bit of adventure, relief, from everyday life and go on this cruise. So I'm in favor of the motion.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Bytewood?
My client wants to go, Your Honor, and I believe that Glenn did not oppose this.
All right. Okay. All right. We have Ms. Mitchell and Casa, our guardian ad litem. So, Mr. Kayla, I don't see your client yet.
She must be having some technical difficulty, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Agbaidi, would you like to call your client so I can hear their opposition and reasons for?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so let me go ahead, please, and swear everybody who's here in. So, Mom, Dad, Ms. Brister, Ms. Mitchell, if you all will raise your right hands to be sworn, please. Do you all swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes? 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 Mr. Gatson, yes. All right, thank you. Okay, so you may call your first, Mr. Agbadi.
All right. Your Honor, may I quickly, just a tiny little request before I call them. While I was
Certainly.
Yes, while I was talking to them yesterday, they brought an issue up that Miss Garson's grandma passed away. The burial is on the 28th. They would like the children to attend the funeral, but there's no time for me to file a motion because it came up yesterday. So I just wanted to bring that up. If there can also be an agreement on that.
Okay, so let me make sure I heard everything. Was it Ms. Gatson's mother that
Yeah,
passed away?
Precious Garson's mother, grandma.
Oh,
So the children's great grandma
Yes. Okay.
passed away. The funeral is on the 28th of December. They told me yesterday I don't have enough time to file a motion and then set it for a hearing. So I'm just basically bringing it up that is something they are requesting.
All right. I would expect that we could hear that by agreement. Any opposition to that? So that's the 28th.
Yes.
And do we know when and where the services are?
Yeah, they sent it to me via email yesterday. I can also
Okay.
get that through testimony. I would
Very
like to.
good.
I'll call
Very
Miss Garson first, and then I can solicit that
Okay.
testimony.
All right. Okay, very good. So then you may proceed, Ms. Gatson, if we can get you unmuted. There we go.
All right, Miss Garson, just state your name for the record.
Precious Gatson.
All right. So prior to yesterday, I forwarded you guys an email regarding a request to go on a Caribbean cruise. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you guys did not authorize me to sign it. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell the judge the reason you are objecting to your children going on this cruise?
I don't feel comfortable sending them to a different country for a week.
Okay. Have they been outside of the United States ever?
No.
Have they traveled with Miss Jones or the Joneses ever before outside of the country?
No.
Okay. So I know you don't feel comfortable. What is your ultimate fear? What do you fear? What is your fear why you are not comfortable? What is that?
I don't know what can happen while they're there. They're away. They've never been away like this. So I don't know what can happen on this trip. I don't know how things can go, what can happen. Ella's pretty little, and I don't really see her being able to really get enjoyment out of this, something like this, nor Gracie.
Okay. And then in terms of your weekly or bi-weekly visitation, are there concerns? Are there things that you witness that will give you reasons to be concerned about they going on a cruise?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, there was something going on with Gracie's leg that no one noticed, but we noticed instantly when she walked up. And now they're saying that she may have problems with her leg, that she may have to have surgery or wear braces until they can figure out what's going on. And no one noticed this. They thought she was hurt from something with us at the park or something at daycare. And it turns out it's something else that was going on with her, and no one noticed it.
Okay. But you brought that to the attention of the caseworker already?
Yes.
Okay. And then in terms of your request, who passed away on your end?
My grandmother.
Okay. Are the children, do they know your grandmother?
Yes.
Have they spent time with your grandmother before?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you requesting of this court to grant for you regarding your grandmother's passing?
I asked that my kids can attend the funeral. My grandmother really missed the kids and wanted to be able to spend time with them before she died, but she didn't get that chance. And I would like the kids to be able to attend.
Okay. Do you know the place, date, and time of the funeral?
Yes, it's the church is called Live Oak Church in Bunware, Texas, and it will be at 1 p.m. on
Okay.
the December 28th.
Okay. So you sent me an email yesterday. It said Life Oak Church of God and Christ. Address
Yes.
is 8103 FM 1416 Bonware, Texas. Zip
hmm
code 75928. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's all the question I have for Miss Garcia.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kayla.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gadsden, specifically, what is your objection to the children not being able to go on this cruise?
I
What is,
don't think that I don't feel comfortable sending them.
I understand I'm not asking how you feel. I'm asking what your concern is about the danger that will befall to these children if they're allowed to go have fun for 1 week.
None of the kids can swim. I'm concerned about the water. I'm concerned about them being on a cruise. None of the kids know how to swim. That's a safety issue for me because I don't know if they're going to be watched correctly. So that's my concern.
So you're concerned about the children going on this cruise with their grandmother is that they don't know how to swim?
They can't swim. Ella's small. She moves around a lot. She's very active. She's a child that's pretty much gets into everything. And apparently everything doesn't get caught with the younger kids. And I don't feel comfortable sending them.
And what's this problem with the leg? Whose leg? Who's got a problem with their leg?
Gracie,
I'm sorry?
Gracie, the
Okay, what's
3-year-old.
wrong with Gracie's leg?
Gracie showed up to the park. We had a visit, and she had this horrible limp that I noticed when she walked up. And I notified the caseworker with what was going on. And then a couple of days later, I got a text saying they did X-rays and she may have to wear braces on her leg or get surgery if it's not corrected because of
With her
there's
leg?
something going on with her that could
What,
happen during birth, but they're not sure.
what's wrong with her leg?
I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with her leg, so I believe she has to still get checked out to figure out what's wrong with her leg. The caseworker told me that she may need braces or she may need surgery.
You don't know if anything at all is wrong with her leg, correct?
Well, I would know if the caseworker helped me up to date, but that's the update she gave me because I asked her just last week and she still gave me that same update.
Other than the fact that you don't believe the children know how to swim, is there any other specific reason why they shouldn't be allowed to go on this cruise?
If no one noticed Gracie limping the way she was, no one noticed. And then when we mentioned it, they called us a lie basically because they said there was nothing wrong with her. And then there it is. 2 days later, they take say, oh, there is something wrong. She is limping. When the limp was obvious from the start that no one claimed to have noticed.
Okay,
So
what's that got to do?
therefore, the attention span, no one's paying attention to them. If they're not paying attention to something that came up like that on a 3-year-old and you send her off somewhere and something happens, it's not guaranteed you're going to notice.
Okay,
If
so
you couldn't notice that there.
So let me make sure I'm clear with you. Okay, your concern is that nobody pays attention to the kids and they're going to fall off the boat and they don't know how to swim, right?
If that's how you want to put it, I'm not even a boat. I don't know if they're going to go to a beach. I don't know what they're going to do. But my thing is in activities, I'm not sure if Gracie, Ella, any of them are going to be watched correctly.
Okay, so that's your concern is you don't feel like the Joneses are taking good care of your kids. So that's the only reason you have a concern about them going on a cruise. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hollier.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Blackwood.
Just briefly, I've seen beach pictures with the children, so they've been around water before. Is that true?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah. Is that true? They've been around water before.
Yes.
Okay. And when they've been around water before, has that been an issue with them not swimming?
No, because they were with me. I'm not saying that it's a concern for them to be in the water. It's a concern that they're going to another country and they're going to be away. It's bad enough I can't see them now and know their everyday life and see how they're doing and coping with things. And I don't get any updates like that on the kids. So them being in another country is very stressful for me, especially when I barely get updates on them now.
And I hear you. And I heard what your concerns were, and I was not trying to um, make them sound petty. I think that's a good way to put it. But just kind of clearing up the water. So the reality is it wouldn't matter if they were going to the mountains or any place else. You just aren't there and you're concerned because you're their mama.
Yes.
Okay. And I heard you say something, and I want to make sure that I heard it properly. Do you believe that this was an injury from birth?
No, I don't, because Gracie just recently had x-rays last year when this case started, and there was nothing wrong. And now they're saying there's something wrong with Gracie's legs and they can't. So I don't know.
That's okay. I just thought I heard you say that you thought it was from birth. And if I misheard that, I just wanted to clear that up.
I did, because that's what was sold to me.
Okay, so it might have been but we'll know more with doctors' reports, right?
Yes.
And are you asking to be kept updated with that so that you know exactly what's going on with that injury?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any further questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bird.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Agbadi.
I don't have further question for Ms. Gaston.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, Mr. Kayla, the court will note that your client, Melissa Jones, is present. So we'll go back to your case, your motion, and let you call her. But first, Ms. Jones, if you will unmute your device, raise your right hand. Let me get you sworn in.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So among other things, Mr. Kayla, I would like to know all of the adults going on the trip, whether the children have passports, whether this trip even requires them, whether there's going to be cell phone service from the ship, and whether or not any of the children at this point can swim. So you may proceed.
Your Honor. Ms. Jones, tell me, I think you're muted. So tell the court the entire itinerary of this trip, if you don't mind.
Yes. We will be leaving from the port of Galveston. We will be going to from there to Costa Maya, Belize, and Cozumel. We will not be swimming. That's not something that I would do going over there. We have done it here. We went on family trips here. They've been allowed to go to the lake house with us swimming before, and what we call swimming with just staying on the bank and playing in the water. But that's not something that I even do when I go out of the country. And even on the boat, I don't swim, and I don't plan to swim with them. Paul is a certified lifeguard. They've never had an issue with him and us being with water without them before. So that's the itinerary. We just plan on like just touring with them. I do have 2 chaperones that have already been approved by the state that will be with me, Paul, Destiny. The 2 that I will have with me is Elma Weaver and Carrie Levias, who they're on, and I did put them on that list. They will be with us to help us chaperone.
And have those folks been vetted by CPS or which
Yes. Yes, I did it before. I put them on the list, and then I did it again since Jesselyn has been on the case.
you say you did? Tell me the process of that. Explain to the court how these people have been vetted.
I sent their name. Well, they sent their information into them, did their background and everything that it takes to get approved by the Texas Family Care Network. So they've had the background, they've been around the kids most of their life. So they went through the whole process and they were approved.
As far as are passports required? Do the children have to have passports to go on this cruise?
No, they don't. They just have to have their birth certificates with them. And I have my paperwork that was given to me for placement in case I need that. I'll have that with us as well. Paul and I have passports because we've just traveled. So we do. They also have medical on the ship. So I'm not going to do any excursion with them because they're too small. So like I said, just touring around, near the ship. That was all I was going to do with them.
Are there any health issues with any of the children at this time?
I would like to address Gracie.
Okay.
The situation with Gracie, I received a text after I picked them up on that particular visit. From my understanding, the parents text after we left. When Gracie left that morning, I did not notice any limping. She went to daycare. They did not notice any limping. And so anyway, I told Jesselyn I would continue to watch her just in case. So I think I can't remember the particular days. It was around Thanksgiving. It may have been the next day after she had been playing outside. I was like, hey, I do notice something. I do notice that she's, because I did not disregard what Precious said. And I did send a video the same day after she got home. She wasn't limping. Took her to the ER next day when I did notice something. And when they did x-rays, they said nothing was wrong at the emergency room. So even the doctor said nothing was wrong, but I continued to watch anyway. With kids, you just never know. So as I continued to watch her, I said, something's still not right. This was like Thanksgiving Day. I went into the ER. So apparently it must have started when Precious said that the day before Thanksgiving. Took her to the ER Thanksgiving. Went through the whole weekend and she didn't limp, but I still said something, just something about her walk didn't look right in her legs. So I took her back to her primary and I insisted on getting the x-ray. So we got more x-rays. And that's when they found that it was a developmental deformity, which they say does not normally show up until around the 3-year-old age. And I forgot to send that documentation. Actually, it's still sitting in my email. I thought I hit send. I guess I didn't. I'll send that doctor information as soon as we're finished. So anyway, so apparently Precious, they didn't see it at first either because they didn't text until after we left the visit.
You're a registered nurse.
Yes.
Your husband's a certified lifeguard.
Yes.
I pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Agbaidi.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Jones. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right. But you do understand, Precious, like when she testified that she's co-signed that you guys are going outside the country. Have you ever traveled with these children before outside the country?
No, I have not. And I do understand her concern as a mom to a certain point. I just don't understand, the concern is much because she's allowed the kids to be with us. So I don't completely understand.
Okay. So it's up to the judge now. But if the judge grants you access, this is, I think said, the 5th that's about 5 to 6 days worth of going outside the country. So how are you going to keep the parents informed about the whereabouts of their children while you are outside the country?
Please repeat that.
I said,
Like,
how are you going to keep them informed, the parent, while you are outside the country?
oh, I forgot to answer that. I'm sorry. We do have cell service when we're on the ship. I have in the past. I haven't had an issue with that. I mean, it can be spotty, it can be spotty, but I have called family. You can call through Messenger even if your signal is down, and you can call through FaceTime because I've done that every cruise that I've been on.
All right. So you said they don't require a passport. Do you guys do you expect to actually step outside the boat, or are you going to stay on the boat for the entire time?
Like I said, with the kids, because I am, I'm used to having the kids. So there's only so far you can go, but we will go on, get off the ship. I usually do shopping around the ship. I'm not, like I said, I will not do any excursions with them because they're too small to do the excursions. But they do have other things that are like right around the ships. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a cruise before. They have things that you can walk off right on the port, not far from the port. We're already like strategizing, so that even the adults can go have fun, but some of us will be with the kids at all times.
Okay. One last question. Other than the actual cruise, which is the boat, are there tickets for like hotel stays that are not part of the boat, or do you intend all the overnights are going to be on the ship? I'm just trying to make sure they understand, like, because they're not going to be there. So I'm just trying to make sure that they understand where their children are going to be spending overnights.
Okay. Yeah, there would be no reason to get a hotel when you're on a cruise ship because your housing is on there, on the ship itself. So we're not flying over. If we were flying over, we would need a resort or something, but we don't need that for a cruise.
Okay, that's all the question I have, Yana.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hoyer?
Have you talked to my client about going on this cruise?
Yes.
And does she want to go?
She's excited. She's very excited. She's been looking forward to it. That was even also a part of rewarding her for coming so far over the past year, so we just think she thinks it's a good idea. We do too, for her to be able to finally just unwind.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jones. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitewood.
And kind of the same question for me. How about my client? Is she excited about going?
Yeah, she's told all of her teachers when we went up there to the school, we went for Grandparents' Day, and they said she was very excited about it. She's talked about it. She's ready to brag about it. So, yes, she is excited.
Right. Also, there's been a request for the children to go to their great-grandmother's funeral. I haven't had a chance to ask my client if she wants to go or not. Do you know how they feel about this?
Honestly, Aaliyah, she was very upset because
And we're on YouTube, so you
Oh, I
initials.
forgot. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's upset about it, so she may want to go to the funeral. I didn't ask her, but I told her I would find out more about it because Mariana delivered the news to her, so she was very upset. She may, the AG. I asked MG, your client. I don't know so much. She had different feelings, so I don't know. So they can call the case manager or somebody can come see them. I think Faith is going to be here today, so she can ask them herself, and that way it won't come from us. They can speak for themselves and tell Faith.
Okay. And what cruise line are you going to be going on again?
Carnival.
Okay. And they have the kids club and everything on that one. It's kind of geared to kids.
Yes.
Am I right about that?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And what is the sleeping arrangements?
Paul, like I say his name, I'm sorry. Paul, he is going to sleep, and it's even on a thing with one of our church members, because there are other people that are going, they're just not with my group. But we have a friend, he's going to house with him so that I can have Junior will be with me. I will have Mariana, think it was Ella.
You're forgetting your initials again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
One of the MGs, EG, DG, and GG. I think I did it right.
Okay. What kind of cabins do y'all have?
I have a balcony suite, so it's big enough. That's why I can have as many. The other two will be in the suite near me with my oldest stepdaughter, Madison Jones. She's 18, so that she could be close to me. She will have the other two, MG and AG.
All right.
I
So
think I got it covered. I was trying.
you all have balcony suites?
No, she doesn't. I do.
Okay.
I have one in mind.
All right. Okay. Yeah, no, those are pretty spacey. All right. That's just all the questions I had. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Byrd.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Back to you, I believe, Mr. Kayla.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. And Ms. Jones, did I hear you say that Destiny was going?
She is, but she has her own suite with her kids. But she is there. She will be there.
Okay. And if I recall, she's also a nurse?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones?
Just one, Your Honor.
All right.
Regarding the funeral, I understand you said one of the children was upset, may want to go, the other ones you don't know yet. But you, from your perspective, since you are the temporary conservator right now with CPS, do you have any objection why they should not attend a funeral?
No, I don't. As long as she has supervision with her, I'm just, I'm concerned about her, how it's going to affect her later. But at the same time, I don't want to object if she needs that closure. So that's kind of a sticky thing for anybody to know how she's going to respond later. But if she wants to go, I just want to ask that she definitely has two people there, that will really look out for her, protect her, so that people won't be able to walk up to her and say things to her, because I've had to protect them from that, even going out in our community. But if she wants to go, I don't want to stop her from having that closure, because that's still her family, no matter what's going on.
All right. That's all the question I have then.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Jones, will you and or Paul be attending that funeral?
I didn't know how the mom and dad felt about that, so I was afraid of confrontation. If they're fine with me attending, will be fine to attend. We can sit silently and be with her. That I just didn't, I didn't know how that would work out. But I'm fine with it. I personally, and Paul personally, I know would not have an issue with that.
Well, is this a relationship, a funeral that you all would have otherwise, but for the CPS case, attended?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you mentioned some chaperones who have been approved by CPS that are going on the cruise. Is any of them, to your knowledge, going to the children's great-grandmother's funeral?
No, sir, they don't. They would if I asked, but they were not. They're not.
Okay. And is it fair, accurate to say that where you all live and where the funeral is going to be is maybe 10, 15 minutes apart?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones? Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other witnesses, Mr. Kayla?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Mr. Ogbadi, any other witnesses?
Yeah, I understand mom testified, but I would like for Mr. Gasson to testify as well.
Okay, very good. He was sworn, and we'll get Mr. Gadsden unmuted. And then now you may proceed.
All right. Mr. Gasson, how are you today?
I'm good. And you?
I'm not all right. So, you heard your wife express certain concerns. What additional concerns do you personally have regarding your children going on a cruise outside the country?
The same concern I've had since the case was taken off in December. As far as their safety, all the concerns I've had, just not regarding the cruise, just everything in general.
Okay, I know, but we're testifying regarding the cruise today. So if you can try to specify specific concerns for this judge to note for the purpose of this cruise.
The concerns are they're going with people that's been abusing them, being in the bed naked with them, not properly
Your Honor,
maintaining
before
them.
we go any further, if this is going to be the line of testimony, I would really ask that we go off YouTube.
I don't need to hear. I don't need to hear this.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Let me ask. But whatever your concerns you're trying to
And
express.
the reason I don't is because I have.
Okay. You've heard it.
I have.
The judge has heard it. So any other concern that the judge has not heard regarding your children traveling abroad?
It's concerning for all safety measures from every obstacle of these people that they're going with, for them to even been placement with them, and especially going out of country. And as far as Gracie, that was 2 weeks ago, as my wife just stated. She has a limp when she arrives. We couldn't even figure out exactly what was going on. We thought it was her foot. We notified the caseworker after the park visit because we were always told not to talk about things during the visit in front of the
Object to
kids.
non-responsive.
Foot and all of this stuff.
Sustained. Next question.
Okay. And regarding that concern you have regarding GG, right? Don't forget we're using abbreviation. How does that relate to the international travel that you are concerned about? Please try to focus it regarding the travel.
It concerns me because nobody's seen Gigi with this type of injury.
Okay. So are
And
you concerned?
we noticed it immediately when she got out of the vehicle to walk toward the park.
No, I'm going to the relevance as this concerns to the cruise itself.
Well, overruled.
It's concerning to me because I noticed it immediately.
Mr. Gatson, wait for the question, sir.
All right, hold on. So are you concerned regarding proper supervision on this cruise?
Yes.
Okay. Any other, okay, let me ask you. I did ask your wife, but let me ask you. Have they traveled extensively? Like, have they been with the children? I'm talking about the Jones. Have they traveled with the children to any other states outside of Texas before?
They traveled with Paul to a water park in Sulphur, Louisiana. And actually, one of the kids come up hurt then, and we didn't allow kids to go back to water parks. Okay. It wasn't one of my kids, but it was a kid that went there. Nobody understood what happened to the child.
Okay. So because of the concern from that water park travel, how does that relate to the concern that you have regarding this cruise travel?
Because the same thing with Gigi. No one can understand or explain how a child come up with an injury. And all the other older kids said that nobody was watching the child. That's very concerning.
I'm going to object as the hearsay, Your Honor.
And I would also object because the older kids aren't visiting with them at their discretion.
Sustained.
All right. Because of all these reasons you have stated, is that why you are not agreeing for them to travel?
Yes, you are correct.
You're asking the judge to, take note of your concerns.
Yes, correct.
That's all the question. Sorry for the funeral stuff. You heard about the funeral. Do you believe it's in the best interest of your children to attend this funeral?
Yes, I think it would be in the best interest for the kids.
Okay. Are you asking this judge to grant them permission to attend?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to be there?
That I don't know.
Okay, you don't.
I don't know about that just yet.
Okay, but to the best of your knowledge, did the children have relationship with the person who passed away?
Yes, they had a great relationship with her.
So do you believe attending the funeral would bring them some closure?
Yes.
All right, that's all the question I have. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kayla.
You don't know, thank you, Your Honor. You don't know if you're going to go to your wife's grandmother's funeral yet?
Due to personal reasons, I do not know.
That's interesting. So the only objection that you have to these children going on this cruise is that you don't feel like the Joneses are taking good care of them, correct?
I don't. The judge don't want me to speak on that again, but as concerns,
Cut out on me. I didn't hear what you had to say. Is it your testimony you don't feel like the children should be with the Joneses, and that's why you don't want them going on the cruise?
for their safety, for the safety of my kids, that's why I don't want them to cruise.
I apologize.
Concerning,
I'm having some my monitor cut out. I'm trying to understand. Can you hear me?
yes, I have safety concerns for my kids being with them.
Okay, so your safety concerns are with the children being with the Joneses generally. You don't think they should be with the Joneses, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that's the only reason you don't want them going on this cruise is because they're going with the Joneses.
No, that's not the only reason. It's because I'm not going to be there watching them as well.
Okay, how often do you see your children, sir?
The 4 youngest once a week, if
Okay,
something.
are you scheduled to see your children during that week between January the 5th and January the 11th? Meaning, are you going to miss some visitation with your children by them going on this cruise?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that response. I don't know if it's my connection or somebody else's.
The response was affirmative.
Okay. Has that visitation been rescheduled, or has there been accommodations made so that you don't miss that visitation because of this cruise?
No.
Have you asked that be rescheduled or that accommodations be made?
No, this is just brought to our attention.
No, this wasn't just brought to you, sir. This motion was filed last week, and we had the opportunity to avoid this hearing by you agreeing to this on Monday, and actually we had the opportunity to have a hearing on this on Monday, and there was an objection because of the timeliness of that. So this was not just brought to your attention. So I don't want you to make that misrepresentation to the court, if you don't mind, sir. Next, how often do you have telephone or electronic communication with your children?
We got a phone privilege taken away once. MG stated that she was struck in the nose.
So the answer to the question is you don't have electronic communication with your children. That's correct, sir. Is that right?
You're answering questions for me, and I can back up a while ago if it's appropriate.
I'm asking you to answer specific questions in a concise manner, and you refuse to do that. So my question is, do you have electronic communication privileges with your children at this time?
As stated, the last question that you answered for me, I did not agree with what you said. You answered for me, but I didn't agree with it.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll rephrase the question. At this moment, okay, as we sit here on December the 20th of 2024, how often do you have electronic communication, either by telephone, text, FaceTime, Facebook Messenger, whatever that is? How often do you have electronic communication with your children?
None at all.
Okay, so it doesn't matter whether or not there's cell phone service on the boat. It's not like you're missing out on anything with these children traveling abroad, because you don't get to contact them except once every other week, correct?
That's a very hateful statement, but that is correct.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Hollier, Ms. Bythewood, then Mr. Burt.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Me either.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burt.
None, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Ogbadi.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you know if your children they're supposed to be attending school between January 5th and January 11th, Mr. Garson?
Yes, they are supposed to attend school.
Okay. So have they reassured you how they're going to make up their schoolwork if they're on a boat outside of the country on a school week?
No, no one has said that, and that's been a concern too for me as well, stating that I mean, from the previous statements that my kids were behind in certain areas of school.
Okay. That's all the question I have here.
All right, thank you. Any other witnesses, Mr. Ogbadi?
No, Your Honor, that's
Okay.
all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hollier, any witnesses?
No, sir, I don't have any
Okay,
witnesses.
all right, thank you. Ms. Bythewood?
CASA, we
All
have
right.
Ms. Mitchell.
And Ms. Mitchell, you were sworn in, yes, ma'am? Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
I was.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Shakitha, could you please state your name to the court and what your relationship to the children is?
Shakitha Mitchell, Casa Advocate Supervisor.
And are you familiar with what the request is here today?
Yes, ma'am.
It's actually twofold. The cruise, and then Miss Precious's grandmother has passed away, and they're asking for the children to go to that funeral. Are you aware of that?
Just now when I got on, when I logged in.
Okay. And in representing the best interest of the children, do you have a recommendation for the court?
As far as the funeral or the cruise?
The cruise. You just got the funeral brought to your attention,
Yeah.
so I'll kind of set that to the side. As to the cruise,
Well, they have medical on board on the cruise. They have 2 nurses in the family. I think they should be fine on the cruise.
all right.
And the kids are excited. I think that will give them a different experience. So get out of Texas. And I'm sure they'll learn learn about some other cultures.
All right. So you are not opposed to them going, is that correct?
No, ma'am. CASA is in agreement with the cruise if they go.
Okay. And can CASA give a recommendation as to the funeral? If you can't, that's okay. You just heard about it.
I'd rather not. Funerals can be tricky for children. So.
All right. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Is there anything else that you'd like the court to know?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burt.
Ms. Mitchell, given your knowledge of the case and the fact that you say the funerals are a sticky situation for children, and we all understand that, you know the relationship that the oldest 2 children have. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
If they had concerns about going, do you feel like those concerns should be taken into consideration?
Definitely.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayla.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ogbadi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few. Ms. Mitchell, you testify you just found out about the funeral as everybody else just did, right? You're muted. I don't know. Talk. Ms. Mitchell.
Yes.
Okay. I understand Mr. Burt asked you if the children don't want to go. As we speak right now, you have no idea whether they told their children want to go or not, right?
Right.
Okay. Regarding the cruise that you are so eager to approve, how any concern regarding these children doing schoolwork Why they are on a cruise?
No, because no.
Okay, you were gonna say because. So how do you? I mean, why don't you have any concerns regarding children on a school week outside the country?
Because they will be back in school as soon as they get back.
So if they miss 1 week of school, that's okay.
I don't think it's a whole week of school.
Okay.
I'm not
So,
sure when they return back, but I don't think it's a whole week of school.
hold on for a
And
minute.
the kids were not behind anymore.
Okay, so January 5th, 6th, and 7th, those will be 3 school days. I believe they said they're coming on the 11th, right? So just a minute. I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. So January 5th through the 11th, or basically you have Monday through Fridays in there. So that's 1 week in school, but you don't like that's okay with you.
Does anyone have the date for when the kids go back to school, when they return back after Christmas holidays? And then we can go after that, because I can't say that it's a whole week that they're missing from school. I don't know.
All right. But whether you know or not, you don't, I mean, you didn't seem to express concern when I asked you about school, whether you know or not, or you don't care whether they miss school or not.
Your Honor, I would object to the characterization that CASA doesn't care.
I can ask.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ogbadi, what did you say?
I said I can re-ask my question.
Okay.
Okay.
Please.
All right. So whether they miss 1 day, 2 days of school, CASA doesn't have concerns for that.
What is your question?
I said whether they miss 1 day or more of school, I said CASA does not have any concerns with it.
Yes, CASA has some concerns, but we know that they will be returning back to school when they get back.
That's all the question I have.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Ms. Bythewood.
Ms. Mitchell, is it your belief that the only reason these parents are objecting is because they hate the grandparents and they're trying everything they can to cover up their own bad acts towards the children?
Yes.
And is this ridiculous?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, any other questions from anyone for Ms. Mitchell?
I just have one.
All right.
Ms. Mitchell, do you find it ironic that Mr. Gadsden's objection to the children going on this cruise is that they may not notice an injury and do something about it? Do you find that to be, and nobody knows what's wrong? Isn't that the most ironic statement you've ever heard?
It is.
Yeah, pass it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Mitchell from anyone?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Anyone? Okay.
I have a follow-up since Ms.
All right.
Hollier. All right. So are you really, you said ironic that they are worried about concern, but isn't it ironic that the people only have 1 week visitation, notice a link, CPS, you, or the people they live with did not notice that, or since maybe a week later?
The child was taken to the doctor, and from the doctor's report, based on hearsay, was that that was not an injury. That was something, some kind of deformity from birth. So no, I didn't notice anything. I was not at that park visit. I have not been to any park visits. I attend the visits in the CASA office sometimes when I'm there, when I'm not working on another case. But I will tell you this, whenever the kids arrived, we have made it a point, myself and Jesselyn, the caseworker, whoever is there, as soon as those kids come in, we check every single one of them to make sure they don't have any injuries, because every time the visit is over, something was being called in.
I appreciate your answering the question the way I did not ask it. I'm going to ask it again because I like clear records. Isn't it ironic that the parents who only have 1 day a week visit notice something that you, the caregiver or CPS did not notice?
No, it's not ironic.
That's all the question. That was it. That's all the question I had.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Mitchell?
Just one follow-up, if I may, Your Honor. Ms. Mitchell, how many people on this Zoom hearing right now are charged with felony offenses for injuring these children?
And I'm going to object to relevance. Also, that goes to their Fifth Amendment issue. They don't have a criminal lawyer here to address that, and I think that question is inappropriate.
All right. I'm going to sustain the objection.
I can rephrase the question, Your Honor. Have the Joneses been charged with any, have the Joneses been charged, arrested, and indicted for any criminal offenses against these children?
No.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Any other witnesses? Ms. Bytewood, Mr. Bird, I want to hear briefly from the network. But Ms. Mitchell, remind me how many of the children, and we can do their ages, are in counseling.
I think it was I want to say 4, if not all. The last I was looking at that.
So as far as you know, the 4 oldest?
I think it would be the 4 oldest.
Okay, and do you know how often their sessions are?
I could look and see for them.
If you could do that, and if it would refresh your memory.
Okay.
In other words, is it weekly? Is it every other week? Is it monthly?
Your Honor, I believe that might have recently changed. I think Ms. Brister might have that information.
Okay. All right. So we can get that then from Ms. Brister, Ms. Mitchell, since there possibly has been a change recently. So Ms. Mitchell, were I to leave the attendance of the funeral to the children, what would your thoughts or recommendation be in that regard?
If they actually want to attend, I would just make sure they actually have a very strong support system. Make sure nobody is coming up to them to say things, like Ms. Young said. Can I say something? So me personally, I don't believe in forcing children to go to a funeral. But if the child feels like, if they feel like they need to go or they need that closure, someone definitely needs to be there for them. I wouldn't advise it. I don't know, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Mitchell? I believe, Ms. Bytewood, you said no other witnesses, or do you want to call Ms. Brister or Mr. Burt, whomever?
I can call Ms. Brister. Tammy, would you state your name in relationship to the case?
Tammy Brister, I'm the case manager supervisor on the case.
And as a representative of the network, y'all have temporary managing conservatorship of the children. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is the position of the network at this time?
In regards to the cruise, we think it would be a great opportunity for these children. These children have been through a lot, and I think this experience would be wonderful for the children.
And you've heard the concerns that the parents have, is that correct?
Correct, and I understand those concerns. I would have the same concerns for my children.
But from the network's perspective, do you have the safety concerns that they do?
I do not have the safety concerns that they do. I understand their precautions of not wanting them to go because they're not going to be there. But I believe that the Joneses would ensure the children's safety. I do believe that they have shown that with the oldest two children that have been placed in their home almost a year. I do believe that this is in the children's best interest.
And do you believe that the characterization that the children have struggled in school is inaccurate?
I do. They did at the beginning, but the Joneses have done a wonderful job in ensuring that those children's educational needs are met, and those have been shown in their educational, their grades, their performance, everything.
Do you believe that even if they missed a few days of school, those few days can be caught up quite easily?
I do think so. I think Miss Jones would ensure that the children, that they have what is needed for those couple of days. They will miss 4 days. They won't miss a whole week. So I do think Miss Jones would ensure that they got the work before they left and would ensure that work was made up.
In fact, one of the people going on the cruise works for the school district. Is that correct?
I don't have any knowledge of that, but that's a possibility.
And as to counseling, who else in by the ages of children?
I can say the two older children are in counseling once they go weekly. And then the two next children, the two middle children, they are counseling biweekly.
All right. And has their counseling increased recently?
Not to my knowledge. According to my notes, that's what I have, is that they go weekly and then the middle two go biweekly.
And does the network have a recommendation regarding the funeral?
I think we need to, when it comes to the two oldest children, I think the option of them going needs to be up to them once the counselors and the therapists are talked to. I think we need to reach out to them and see what their recommendations would be before we allow them to go, because funerals can be extremely detrimental to a child. But it could also be closure. So I think we need to leave that up to the therapist and get the recommendations from them.
And at this time, is all visitations supervised by the network?
Yes.
Would this require the case manager or yourself or somebody else with the network to attend the funeral?
I do believe that would be best due to the circumstances.
Do you think it would be a horrible idea for the grandparents to supervise this visit and it just be that dynamic?
Them alone, yes, I do.
But y'all have done this before in the past. Unfortunately, we've had situations pop up, and you guys make arrangements to attend these things if necessary. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, ma'am. Have I covered everything?
I think so.
Thank you, ma'am. Then I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you. Any questions from anyone for Ms. Brister?
A few on my end, if you don't mind.
Oh, very, very good.
All right. Ms. Bristol, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Maybe we can go back to Ms. Jones. I just want to get the counseling issue. She probably knows if she takes them to counseling. But my question is, because of your testimony that we may have to leave it to the children, which would have been fine, but since you testified that may have to talk to the therapist. So my question to you is, how soon can the network arrange for the therapist to be spoken to regarding the funeral issue?
I mean, we can do that. I mean, we work next week, so it just depends on the therapist schedules. I don't know who's working next week. I don't know, I don't know their schedules. We are. So, I mean, we could reach out to them next week.
Okay. So the funeral is exactly 8 days from today. So I know at least, next week is at least will be covered. Basically, it's next Saturday. So can you, in the interest of if this is actually good for them, we don't know that, but it may be good for them to have closure of someone they have known who is no longer here. They can bring them back. So can there be a concerted effort to make sure that, okay, if the children want to go, at least if we need to check the therapist or counselor, that we get that check from them as well?
Yeah, I think we need to follow up with the counselors, see what their recommendations are, at least make those attempts, and then have a conversation with the children and see what their wants are.
Okay. And then lastly, in terms of the cruise, you said they'll be missing 4 days of school. They'll get caught up and all that. But it's okay for a parent to be worried that their children who were at one point struggling with school, missing 4 days right off the bat when school is starting, that should be a concern a little bit, right?
I don't feel it's that big of a concern. I mean, these girls all the kids have come a long way in their education. I mean, give them credit for that. We need to let them know that we appreciate all the hard work that they've done. So, no, I don't think it would be a bad thing to let them go during the 4 days that they're going to miss.
Okay. That's all the question I have here.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Brister? Okay, all right, thank you, Ms. Brister. Ms. Bythewood, any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, any other witnesses from anyone?
If I can briefly call Ms. Jones regarding the counseling issue.
You may. Ms. Jones, if you will unmute, please, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Jones, how are you again?
I'm good.
All right. So I believe from the testimony, you were nodding your head. That's one of the reasons I call you. Like the 4 older children attend counseling. Is that correct?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Do you know what days each of them, what days of the week they go to counseling?
Actually, MG, the second oldest, has completed hers. She's completed her counseling. AG, if I'm not mistaken, has 2 more sessions. And I have spoke with her counselor about additional counseling, getting an additional counselor for after they're finished, because she will need more. We discussed that. The younger of the 4 oldest, DG, and the other MG, they go every other week. And I'm actually working with their counselor to make adjustments so that even if they're gone, while they're gone, we'll do what we have to do to make up any sessions that need to be made up. But as far as I have spoken with them, they were all for them. So I'm not concerned as far as that. They were happy and thought that it was a good idea. So I'm sure that they will say that for themselves, but they were fine with them going.
Okay. And then regarding the funeral and counseling, so if the children want to go, clearly we're not going to pretend you guys don't live in the same house, right? So if they want to go, are you able to talk to the counselors? Talk to the counselors to make sure that may be a good thing or not?
Sure, because I have concerns, as I said earlier, it could, like I said earlier, it could go either way, and that's my concern for the oldest. She may say yes, and then I know when sometimes what she does after the fact, I'm just concerned about that. So I'm going to also go with whatever the counselors say, because with children, you just don't know how they're going to respond afterwards. I'm not against it. I'm just concerned, a little fearful actually of how she's going to feel, because it's not just about the funeral itself, but she'll also see other family members and things. And I'm just afraid of high emotions. A death is just a combination, and you still have to consider the situation she's already dealing with. So I do have concerns myself. So I will go with whatever the counselors say, whatever we need to do, I will go with that and just pray for the best. I don't know. I'm not a counselor, so I don't know.
All right. But you are able to talk to the counselor between now
Yes.
and next
Yes,
week.
and I will. I
Okay.
will.
That's the question I have.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones?
Your Honor, I do. I just want to clear up one little matter.
All right.
Ms. Jones, the characterization of the children struggling in school, is that highly inaccurate?
Yes, it is. And AG is on the straight. Actually, she went on a field trip yesterday because she's straight A's. She was her in a small group. They rewarded them because she's straight A's. MG, the oldest MG, she's AB. She's doing wonderful. She even received an award for being on AB honor roll. The younger MG that was struggling with conduct and academics, and DG both got a student of the month because they're doing so well and everybody's celebrating that. So they both have student of the month and they're doing much better. Of course, they still have a ways to go, but they are doing much better. Their grades are coming up, so they're doing well in school.
Okay, and that's been since they've been in your home.
Yes. And also, I want to add, as far as the trip, I have discussed that with all homeroom teachers because I was already thinking about that last month because their education is a concern. It's not just about fun. They were fine with it. They said that if they would either send packets home today for us to take with us, or they would just wait and let them have their fun because they're doing well and give it to us when we return. So I've addressed that.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones? All right, anything else from anyone else?
Your Honor, I would like to remind the court that unfortunately, I have experienced a medical emergency on the Carnival ship lines. They are amazing. Their healthcare facility is amazing. The way that they handle the situations with families, the way that they allow access to internet and to phones. I can't say enough for that cruise line. They will go so far as to fly in family members so long as there is a passport. That's the cruise line my husband died on. So I have that firsthand experience. I can't tell you about any other cruise line, but nobody's allowed to ever say anything ugly about Carnival to me because of the way that they handle these situations. I know that I will never make these parents feel comfortable because they're parents. But I did want to let the court know that this particular cruise line, healthcare, the way they handle customer service, out of this world.
All right, Ms. Bythewood, thank you very much for that. The court does note that that is the cruise line on which the children plan to be traveling. All right. Based on the evidence, the recommendations, testimony, and the best interest of the children, first regarding the attendance at the great-grandmother's funeral on the 28th of December at 1 p.m. As to the three youngest children, 1, 3, and 4-year-olds, they shall not attend the funeral. And then I'm going to drop down to the 8 and 10-year-olds. they may attend. So the 8-year-old MG, 10-year-old AG may attend if they so desire, and their desires will be taken into account until the time the funeral is set to start. And obviously, this is conjunctive, and their therapist or respective therapists do not object to their attendance. So we might have to work some magic, given today's the 20th, the funeral's on the 28th, to touch base with their respective therapists. As to the 6-year-old MG, she may attend if she so desires, and the network or its designee can attend with her and supervise her, that she is not left in the does not leave the presence of the supervisor. My understanding from the testimony is that she has been discharged from therapy. So if it's possible to touch base with that therapist for any recommendation, the court would okay that attendance if the therapist does not object. Now, if MG, 8-year-old MG, I'm sorry, 6-year-old MG does attend, I want her the very following week that you all get back from the cruise to attend at least one session with her previous therapist. Somehow get that work that in. None of the children shall be allowed to attend any meal or function or fellowship or get together after the actual funeral service. That's a shall not. Now, anything as to the funeral before I move on to the cruise?
Yes, Your Honor. I have had children in the past who have been able to put together maybe their own arrangements to have sent. And if they could pick out some type of arrangement for their great grandmother, that would be nice.
If that's something they would like to do, and I think I would want somebody to suggest that idea, because it otherwise may not be on their radar screen. But if that's something they would like to do, I think that would be of tremendous help to them and meaningful to the family.
A lot of our local florists have like children arrangements where they can
Right.
carnations to make puppy dogs and things of that nature.
I think that would be an excellent idea if they wanted to do that, and the court would think that it would be appropriate for that to be offered to them, so that they might know that it's out there if they want to do that, or if they want to do something more even more personalized. All right. All right. As
Can I ask a
to,
question?
no, sir. If you want to text your attorney, if your attorney wants to ask it, then certainly I'll allow that. All right. As to the cruise, the children shall be allowed to attend this cruise. The court very much understands the apprehension of the parents to a certain point when I think it unreasonably encroaches on the children's best interest in terms of the normalcy of a trip like this, the fun and the memories of a trip like this, uh, wherein the court believes the plan is more than reasonable and protective and therefore in their best interest. Uh, I'm going to allow it, order it, even encourage it under the facts and the circumstances. Now, I would expect that during the time of the cruise, the parents will have had visits that had been scheduled and will be missed. The network has 2 weeks to make up any and all visitation that the parents would have missed out on um, during the cruise. Furthermore, I'm going to order that um, placement, if possible, would send the caseworker or the case manager uh, a word or a phrase or a sentence in a text to keep the network apprised how everyone is doing on a daily basis. So just a short text, if technologically possible. Okay. And if anything of note or concerning happens, certainly the network shall, Ms. Jones, you shall inform the network immediately, and the network shall inform the attorneys and the parents. Okay. The court finds that its orders are in the best interest of all of the children, the subject of this suit. Mr. Kayla, if you will prepare the order, have everyone sign off on it, at least as to form, and then I will sign it electronically as soon as I see it. I'm going to take one last look at my notes here. If you all will do the same, and we'll see if we have anything else we need to cover before you're excused.
Your Honor, if for some reason all the signatures are not received to Mr. Kayla by today, can he submit it to you with what he has? Just so there's not a delay with the holidays? In order for the children to leave the country, you have to have a signed order from the court.
And Your Honor, I believe a proposed order has already been filed. I can double check on that. It'd take me 30 seconds, but I believe that a proposed order has been filed, but I can check to see if that has already been e-filed with the court.
Well,
Your Honor, if I may speak, Your Honor.
you may.
Yeah, but whatever orders that they would have filed does not encompass the other one, unless if you're asking for two different orders. I thought you were asking for one comprehensive order, so we don't have, since we had a hearing today. But that's all. But if I get an order today, I'll sign it. The only reason I didn't sign an order was I didn't have permission of my time. So.
Okay, so as long as I have the order by the end of business today, I will sign it regardless of so long as it comports with my ruling, I will sign it even if it's missing anyone's signatures. Now, the proposed order, I would not expect it to be as comprehensive as my ruling, but if it comports with my order relative to the cruise, the itinerary, the dates, and such, what's generally a travel authorization outside of the country? I will certainly sign that because it will be needed to make this happen. So,
Ms. Brister, what we need a signed order for the commissioner to approve. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've already completed all the rest of the paperwork for out of country travel, but I am needing that order to be able to send to them for the assistant commissioner to look at. So if I could get that order, and I can do a separate order in regards to the other issues that were addressed today. I do need a signed order so I can send that off as soon as possible on the travel.
All right, then I have no objection to the judge signing the the order that was circulated, even though there was no signature block for me to sign on the one that I received. So just so you know, I'm not trying to misspeak. I'm just saying there was actually not a place for me to sign unless if I made it up. But that said, that's all regarding the order to travel. But Your Honor, I do have one request from my client regarding.
okay, so before we go there, Ms. Brister, if you will send that to the coordinator, but also put my my email address along with everybody else's on there, so it might mean that I see it a little faster if you include my email address.
Your Honor, it's my understanding that the order specifically with regards to the travel has already been e-filed. So wherever it is in the I guess the web universe or whatever, it's has been e-filed with specifically regarding to the travel outside of the country.
Okay, bear with me just a moment. Did you send that to Ms. Wallingford, the coordinator, as well?
I do not know, Your Honor. I'll let you know here in just a second.
Okay, so Ms. Brister, somehow if you will make sure that that order gets to Cheryl and me, I'm looking for it. I do believe I have it somewhere here. I think it was filed with the motion. All right, so either way, I will sign it as soon as I see it. That way it can get to the commissioner without delay. Okay. All right, anything, Mr. Agbaidi?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe my client wanted us to request whether or not they can buy the girls a red dress and also have the opportunity to have their hair done. That's what my client wanted to ask. I just wanted to make sure that's brought up. I don't know the logistics of that as to the dress, whether to get it to the Jones or as to getting the hair done. I don't know the logistics for that. But if the court is declined, if I can solicit a few testimonies.
Okay. All right. To make sure I'm hearing and understanding, your clients want to buy dresses for the girls and they want them to wear their hair down to the
No,
funeral?
have their hair done, like made, have their
Oh,
hair
have it
made.
done. Yes,
Yeah.
have it done. Yes. Yes.
So do you want me to solicit some testimony so we can establish if at all it's being considered, so we can establish the logistics of getting the hair done and delivering the clothes?
So I have a 10:30 in person, and I just had
I think I think Ms. I would like to think this can be worked out without my intervention. So Ms. Hollier, you may go. I know this affects potentially your client, but if the parents want to purchase dresses and somehow get them to the Jones, they may. But otherwise, I'm going to leave it up to Ms. Jones and the girls to dress. On the one hand, how they wish, and on the other hand, you know, reasonably appropriately for the occasion. So we're gonna leave it at that. Ms. Mitchell, if you can provide any assistance in facilitating shuttling that, that would be appreciated. But it's not going to be an instance where any overreaching or the like is going to occur. So, all right. With that, that's the order of the court. I thank you all very much. Please get those orders to me, and I will sign them as soon as I see them. So, with that, thank you. We will be adjourned, and bear with me just a moment. When is our I want to tell you our next court date.
I believe it's January 15th, Judge.
January the 15th at 9 a.m. January the 15th at 9 a.m. 9 a.m., not 10 a.m. All right. So with that, Mom and Dad, remember that if at the end of this case, if you're not willing and able to provide a safe environment for your children, your parental rights may be further restricted or even terminated permanently. So continue working your services, and we will see you all on the aforementioned date. So your excuse, please take care.
I'm truly in awe of the parents' behavior, and not in a good way. You'd think the focus would be on making life better for their children, not throwing up roadblocks to keep them from having a little joy. These kids have clearly been through enough. The least they deserve is a fun trip with their grandparents who've worked hard to provide them with stability. At some point, these objections stop being about the children and start being about keeping control. Should courts be tougher on baseless objections like these? And how can guardians be better protected from unnecessary interference? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gripping courtroom moments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.